So at this point, I assume you've already heard that there's been a 3-week protest of the Canadian government. There's a lot of truckers and they're blockading Ottawa streets as a form of protest due to pandemic restrictions and policies that they disagree with. They feel that the Canadian government, there's being a little too much overreach and not enough listening to the people, and people are protesting. Whether you agree or disagree with the merits of the protest, whether you think Canada is doing the right thing, the wrong thing with some of the ways they're regulating during the pandemic, that's a conversation for a different time. But as far as the seizure of crypto wallets right now on several of the exchanges, several of sites by people that are donating to the cause or people that are receiving it in the cause, this is really alarming stuff. And I think everyone in the crypto community would agree that this is definitely overreach by the government without correct due process. And this is alarming because this is the type of stuff that you hear of with like a lot of crypto and Bitcoin nuts. And they're like, oh, hold all your stuff in Ledger Nano S, cold wallet storage, all this. And you're like, come on, relax. The government's not going to come down on anything. Your stuff is safe in Coinbase and your stuff is safe in Kraken and Gemini and maybe even like Trust Wallet, MetaMask if you want to be super safe. And they're all sitting back watching this shit go down and they're like, I told you so. They're just eating their popcorn and they got all their crypto in these ledgers and stuff. And the other people that just have it on the exchanges themselves, they're freaking out right now. And what's going on is crazy. And the way that the Kraken CEO, Jay Powell, and I'm not talking about Jerome Powell, I'm talking about someone I have a little more respect for, which is Jesse Powell. I think that he's doing a baller job with PR and addressing the situation in a really fair manner. He went out and said it like it is. I'll cover it in the video. I'll read you an article where he's saying, don't hold your stuff in an exchange if you're worried about it being frozen and being seized, because governments do have control over that and you should be focused on P2P. You should cash out, hold it in a hot wallet, or even better, hold it in cold storage like a Ledger Nano S. Hot wallets, if you're not familiar, that's like MetaMask and Trust Wallet. This is getting really, really dicey in the crypto space. I'm really sad that this is happening. This is why you're seeing a lot of the cryptos tumble, or at least one of the main reasons that you're seeing a huge sell-off today. People are afraid that there's going to be a run on crypto or a run on banks. I mean, Canada's going crazy right now. Texas is watching this like, this is why we stack guns in our sheds. Everyone's afraid of governments right now. Remember, the pandemic, yes, the government needs to get more involved. It's a huge crisis. And so the government gets involved. They help out. They have new laws in place. They have new restrictions in place. But what happens is that it's run by people and people love power. And when you have something like a pandemic going, when you have a crisis and you see that you have a lot more power now and you're able to get away with much more and do a lot more, you're going to keep that crisis rolling. And when the people stand up and they say enough is enough and they start protesting, and again, I don't want to get into politics and I don't live in Canada, so we can have that debate whether what Canada is doing is correct or not as far as the pandemic goes. But for protests that are not really that violent, I mean, I watch the news again, I'm not in Canada, but for the government to go and seize crypto wallets, this is an overreach. And this is what governments do. They take something that warrants a response, that warrants more control, more government action, but then they just keep pushing the barrier and seeing how much they can get away with. And then to reel that barrier back is very, very tricky. And that's why with something like the pandemic, it is in their best interest to keep the crisis rolling so that they can have more control. What's happening in the Canadian government, wild, wild stuff. I'm going to cover all of that. Let me know your thoughts. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Alright guys, so here's a CoinDesk article. It was published February 18th, 9:17 a.m., so it was today. And you could see over here it says that the court orders freeze of Canadian Freedom Convoy crypto fundraising. The funds in over 120 crypto addresses were ordered frozen by a special injunction by an Ontario court. Yeah, that totally sounds like due process and not overreaching by the government. A private class action lawsuit against participants in Canada's Freedom Convoy has successfully secured an injunction freezing funds raised via crypto donations. A Mariva injunction was signed on Thursday by Ontario Superior Court of Justice Judge Callum MacLeod and freezes crypto assets in more than 120 different addresses tied to Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum, Litecoin, and XMR. A Mariva injunction is a court order used in the UK and Canada that freezes a defendant's assets in order to prevent them from being spent, hidden, or moved before a judge is ordered. The suit also directs several financial institutions, platforms, and exchanges to freeze any transactions related to the identified addresses' wallets. The financial institutions include TD Canada, Trust, and ATB Financial, and the fundraising platforms and websites include GoFundMe and GiveSendGo. Digital assets platforms and exchanges listed were Bull Bitcoin, Tallycoin, BitBuy, ShakePay, Satoshi Portal, Bills, Binance Smart Chain, PancakeSwap, and Nunchuck. A lot of these we all know. This is really scary stuff in my opinion. The respondents have a week to respond to the court explaining what their assets are for, whether they own assets, and to submit an examination under oath. The plaintiffs in the case all say they were personally affected by the convoy. Very interesting. Due process is definitely taking place. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Seizing crypto. This smells like extreme corruption. Now, Kraken's CEO is very outspoken. If you're not familiar with who Kraken or what Kraken is, it's basically one of the largest crypto exchanges. So according to CoinMarketCap, it's actually the fourth largest exchange. And their CEO, Jesse Powell, very outspoken individual. If you follow the Twitter account, a little bit controversial, not afraid to speak his thoughts. And over here, you see him responding to someone that said, it's possible Kraken will be put in a position where told to freeze assets by police without judicial consent, and you will probably comply. And he responded saying 100%, yes it has, / will happen, and 100% yes, we will be forced to comply. If you're worried about it, don't keep your phones with any centralized, regulated custodian. Now, centralized regulated custodian, that includes stuff like Coinbase as well. We cannot protect you. Get your coins / cash out and only trade P2P. So in order to not have it in a custodian type situation, you can use Trust Wallet, even something like MetaMask, something where a third party isn't actually controlling it. And also it makes me think of ledgers. Everyone always makes fun of those like USBs that you can store cold storage. You can have your crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all your coins and crypto on there, and it can be stored offline. People aren't laughing at it so much now. I mean, this is why the really serious people into crypto that do believe that governments are going to overreach, corruption like this is going to happen, they hold all of their crypto on ledgers. They don't even have it connected to the internet, so they don't believe in hot wallets. Hot wallets is things like Trust Wallet, MetaMask as well. They keep it in cold storage. And he's saying right here, get your coins cash out and only trade P2P, so he means peer-to-peer. So to have your crypto on like a hot wallet or cold storage and just send directly to a receiving address where there is no custodian holding it, like Kraken or like Coinbase Exchange. So get it off of the exchanges, have it in a wallet, and just send it to other wallets and have people send it to you in your wallet. And so this is wild. This is getting really tricky. I'm really sad to see this happen. Canada is only a few states north of me. This could just as easily be happening in America when there's protests that are against the government and the government doesn't like it and they're going to overreach. The government typically wins in all situations. They have so much power, and this is why people are not laughing at Texas right now. I mean, if Texas bordered Canada, I can only imagine how they would respond. And now I don't want to get too political, and again, I don't live in Canada. I followed the story, but I'm someone, I think freedoms are so important, and the right to protest is important as well. Obviously, there has to be limits to what's allowed at a protest, but from what I've seen, for them to go and just seize cryptos, seize wallets, this is like monetary punishment that I believe is not justified, and I don't think there was correct due process. I think this is overreaching. I think this is fear tactics by a government that is unhappy with a protest that's going against what they want and is making them look bad, and they're fighting back, but they're doing so with some corrupt tactics. So I'm very curious how this is all going to play out. I have a lot of political political sentiments, I try to hold back and not share any on this channel. I never talk about, vaccine mandates. I never talk about freedom of speech and other things. But with more and more stories like this, where it's starting to encroach on crypto, on finances, this is something that I might start getting into more on this channel. Let me know your thoughts on the situation. Let me know if you enjoy this type of content or if I should just stick to options trading, stocks, and crypto tutorials. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.